That's why I'm 10.7. Thanks to Swillinois, my 97 Tahoe has to go through emissions. And because it won't pass right now, I can't get a new sticker. They shut me down. The look of depression. The 28 Mobile is 10.7. It would not pass the emissions. So my sticker expired. And this is the fun part I wanted to make this video about. The mechanic called me up and he goes, your coolant is muddy and brown. And he said, what causes that is electrolysis. I'm like, oh, okay, I think I might know what's causing that. And he said, yeah, he goes, I'm pretty sure if I stuck a meter in right in your radiator, it would read 12 volts. I got a shadow. I got the shadow. You can't see. Let me show you over here. This is the overflow bucket. Can you see down in there? As you can see how dark it is, I have to flush this out. Anyway, so I've got to get the cooling system stable before I could even attempt to deal with the emissions problems, which is like 4 sensors and this and that, I don't know what. So anyway, so I brought it home because I didn't want to pay the mechanic. When I brought it home, the water pump started leaking like a sieve. So basically he told me I have to add grounds to the engine block, which I've been wanting to do anyway because that helps with my RF. So I got to add grounds from the battery to the engine block, from the frame to the engine block. I got to pull the water pump off. I got to put a new water pump on. I got to flush the whole coolant system out. And I'm going to have to pull off this big, massive double-stator Niehoff and this bracket that I made, because the bracket kind of blocks the water pump to get to the bolts. I mean, I might be able to do it without taking it off, but I've been wanting to change this whole system anyway to a rack type system so that I can get this alternator out further. See how I'm not using any of this pulley? Well, I want to put a bigger like belt on there like you use on, what do you use those on, Joey? Blowers or whatever. Mm-hmm. Because I have all this pulley that I can't use because I can't move the alternator forward. And I've got all this pulley down here that I could be using. And with AC, it puts a lot of drag, so you need to use as much as possible. I've got an 8 groove on there now. It's been working. But if I can move this alternator forward, I could put a big old belt on there. And I can utilize all this groove space that I have, and the less likelihood of the belt slipping, and it would last longer and that kind of thing. Won't stretch as much. I can get a heavy duty belt. Anyway, so got to pull the alternator off, got to pull the water pump off, got to change the thermostat, got to flush the whole coolant system out, then take it back to the shop and hope it gets through the emissions so I can get this thing back on the road. And this is a good time to do it because I'm sick of the West Coast and it's not going away. By the way, that's my son Joey over there, just hanging out. Forgot to introduce him. He's not talking because he doesn't have a mic. I got a mic on. Okay, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
I got the monster out. Look at the size of that thing. Dual stators. I got the bracket out. All the parts. Much more roomy in here. Put a stock belt back on. Took the big monster off of here. Now I can get to the plugs. I'm going to change the spark plugs. And I think I put a belt back on it because I think I'm going to take it in and have them do the water pump. I'm just too tired. I'm going to add a ground to the frame, change the plugs, but I think I'm going to have them do the water pump. Do the water pump and the flush. I have nowhere to flush it out, you know what I mean? So change of plans, going to have the shop do the water pump and the flushing and hopefully get it through the emissions, and then we'll work on putting the monster back on. All right, got an update. Got all 8 spark plugs changed. Pulled the air box off of this side, so I was able to get to those plugs. I, let's see, added this ground here to the body. So now, as you can see, it's got the factory body ground, heavy duty body ground now. This ground is the stock ground that goes to the engine block. This ground I added goes to the alternator. And then this ground here goes to the back batteries. And then I also added a ground. Let's see if you can see this. See down there? See that fresh ground cable? That's right under the side of the block. These old 350s used to have mechanical fuel pumps. That's where it would have mounted. See, there's 4 holes there. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, that's the block. So I added the ground cable on that right over to the frame. It's actually a big old bolt that holds the front end part on, but it bolts right into the frame. So I got a new ground to from the engine block to the frame, from the battery to the body, and I had these other ones on already. So we added grounds, we changed the plugs, we got the big monster alternator off. That's a goner. It's a new day, it's Sunday. I rested up and all that good stuff. I'm feeling pretty good. I think I'm going to tackle the water pump. I went and bought like a, I don't know if you can see a pan under there and a water catcher and all that. I know it's still going to make a mess, but I'm just trying to save on the labor. I just want to get this thing through the emissions, you know. But they wouldn't go forward with the emissions issues until I got the coolant issue solved, because they said that was throwing lights, you know, and you can't go through the emissions with check engine lights on. So they said you got to get the cooling system stabilized first, then we can just deal with the sensors or whatever. I might need a catalytic converter, I don't know. This truck actually has 2 catalytic converters, so it might need both. I don't know, but trying to minimize the cost on the actual physical stuff that can be done. I don't know anything about emissions, obviously. I'm at their mercy for that, so I'm trying to do what I can do here. So it's Sunday afternoon. I just finished the spark plugs and the grounds and stuff, and I'm contemplating the water pump. And we'll leave it at that. By the way, did you guys ever try welding onto, what's it called? Lead? Well, I did. Not welding, soldering. I was making a cable for that ground, you know. And these are the kind where you just thread them in, and then, you know, you can see this one I made over here. This is the other one, the successful one I made. I threaded it in, I crimped it a little bit in the vise, and then I heat shrinked it, you know. But I wasn't real comfortable with just threading it in, so I actually attempted to solder it. And just a little FYI, copper's quite soft, or not copper, lead rather, is quite soft, and it doesn't. It's hard to Here, let's see. It melts before the solder. Just an FYI. You know, what do I know? Well, I did it. I got that water pump off of there. She gone. Four bolts. Most of the water. Caught all the water, all the antifreeze basically, so it's not too bad. There we go. There you go. Just had to disconnect that hose there. That hose right there. 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gotta clean that up real good. Get in there with like a razor blade, get that old gasket off there, clean it up, and then put a new gasket on there. And new water pump we go. There you have it. Water pump is on. 4 bolts, piece of cake. Gotta hook up the hoses and put the belt on, and then I can run it and flush it. You know, when you're working on stuff, you find stuff, but look how that wire's rubbing on that frame part right there. So, on a little piece of this, put that on there while I'm working in here, you know, little stuff. She's purring like a kitten. No leaks. Got her all buttoned up, air box back in place. Cleaned up the reservoir, you can actually see through it now. Got some new green coolant in there. Somebody, my friend, 711 told me that the green coolant is better for CB trucks. The orange stuff I was putting in there is junk. Got my ground on there. Got my new water pump purring in there. Purring like a kitten. Put a new thermostat in there, no leaks. Got all these spark plugs. Got the big monster off of there. So she's ready to go back to the shop. The coolant system's done. Now they gotta do their emissions things and hopefully get the emissions straightened out. Get this thing through the emissions, get a new sticker, and I'll be back 10/8. And I gotta work on remounting the big monster over there. I wanna bring it forward out here so I can utilize that pulley down there. Put a nice big belt on there. Well, there she is. Purring like a kitten. The new like 175 thermostat in there or something. Runs real good. That'll help when I'm rubbing it up in the summer. Over now.